Hi, I'm Kimberly Allison from Starliner Music. Welcome to my channel. Today in Fingerboard Geometry, we'll be studying E and A form bar chords within a key. First, we'll set up a template, and then we'll learn how to transpose it. Here we go. I hope you enjoy it. Today in Fingerboard Geometry, we'll be going back to movable chord forms. I just want to review with you the two basic shapes that we'll be using. We're going to be using the movable E form based on this open E chord, and also the E minor form. So just take off your finger for that. So if you take those two chords, E and E minor, and create a movable form, you use these fingers and then use the index to take the place of the open strings. You can move that up the neck. Here's an F, G. So the root is on the E string. Most of you already know this. If you don't, you might need to review this concept. So at the 5th fret we have an A chord, or you could have a minor version. So this is A minor. We could do a very similar thing from an open A chord. Here's my basic open A chord. Here's an open A minor. So when we create movable shapes, we take the place of the open strings with the bar. And so here is an A form bar chord. If I play that at the 5th fret, I have a D or a D minor. Now typically I use a double bar to play the major version. It's just more comfortable for me, but you may do this if you need to. Now the point of this video really is to group these into a movable template so that we can understand what chords are in any given key. This particular template, again, is using only the E and A form bar chords, and it works best for keys like G, A, B. You could go with some of the flat keys like A flat or B flat. Keys that would typically be in the center of the neck if your root chord or one chord is rooted on the 6th string. For other keys, say like, if I was playing in the key of D, this template wouldn't work very well because you're really at the top of the register here for movable chords. We'll look at another template for that later, but let's suffice it to say that we're going to be gearing this towards keys like G, A, B, maybe even C. Let's go ahead and look at the template. So this video is assuming that you understand something about chords in the key. In review, the 1 chord or the primary chord of the key is major, the 2 chord is minor, the 3 chord is minor, the 4 chord is major, the 5 chord is major, the 6 chord is minor, and the 7th chord is diminished. We will not be doing the chord built on the 7th degree of the scale in this video because it's not used as much in this basic bar chord form. So we'll be dealing with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 chords of any key. And I like to start out by sort of building from the 1, 4, and 5. So if I'm in the key of G, the 1 chord is G here at the 3rd fret. The 4 chord is always at the 3rd fret as well, but it's in the A shape. And the 5 chord is always 2 frets higher. So there's D, my 5 chord. So the 1, 4, and 5 form this template. 1, 4, 5. And some people refer to that as like a box pattern. This is sort of a box. And so I like to establish the 1, 4, 5 first, and then we can branch off into the 2, 3, and 6 chords. Those are the minor chords in the key. So if I know where the 1 chord is, I can go up a whole step to find the 2. That's 2 frets. And now I make it minor by taking out the middle finger. So that's my A minor chord. So far I have G, that's my 1, and my 2 chord is A minor. Now if I want to find my 3 chord, you can go to the 4. Remember, the 4 is directly sort of above as far as the root, or at the same fret as the 1 chord. So 1 chord, 4 chord, 3 chord is a half step down from the 4 chord. So here's my 4 chord. If I move down a half step, I have that, and then I can make it minor. So I use the minor shape there. So here's the 1 chord, here's the 4 chord, the 3 chord is right here. It's always a half step down from the 4, and it's minor. 4 chord, 3 chord. So again, here's the 4 chord. I'm going to go up to the 5 chord. And the 6 chord is always a whole step up from the 5 chord. So here's my 5 chord D, my 6 chord is E minor. And so generally you could play the 6 chord 2 frets higher than the 5 chord. There will be some instances where you might want to drop down and play it below the 1 chord. If the 1 chord is here, the 6 chord is 3 frets down. So 1 fret, 2 fret, 3 frets. That leaves you an open note in this case, and so that would be open E. We might look at this in another key here momentarily. I'm just bringing this up because sometimes in certain keys it makes sense to go down for the 6 chord. So in review, what I did was I found 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, or in this case G, C, D, and I went a whole step up from 1 to find 2, so G to A minor. I went a half step down from 4 to find a 3, C to B minor, and I went a whole step up from the 5 to the 6, that's D to E minor. Now I'm going to play up the scale. 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord. Let's look at a couple of sample progressions. Alright, let's start out with a couple of progressions. We're going to begin with the 1, 4, and 5 chord. 1 is G, 4 is C, 5 is D. So the progression is 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. Or we have G, C, G, D, G. Now this is really all about finding the chords. I'm not really doing much in my strumming hand. I'm just kind of playing the chord one time. It's not really about the right hand. It's about finding the chords in the left hand. So now let's throw in a 3 chord. In this key, the 3 chord is B minor. It's fingered here. So here's the progression. 1, 3, 4, 5, 1. Or G, B minor, C, D, G. The next progression is a very common one. It's sometimes referred to as ice cream changes, and this progression uses both the 6 chord and the 2 chord. So the 6 chord is E minor, and the 2 chord is A minor. So here we have 1, 6, 2, 5, or G, E minor, A minor, D. Let's try one more progression, and this one is 1, 5, 6, 4. In this key, that's G, D, E minor, and C. Now let's move on to another key. Alright, now let's move up to the key of A. The only thing that's changing is the fret number. So instead of starting at the 3rd fret, we're going to start at the 5th fret. And so now we still have 1, 4, 5 in the same configuration. And the 1 chord is a whole step to the 2 chord, just like before. So 1 and 2. The 4 chord is here still. 3 chords a half step below. And the 5 chord is here. And the 6 chord is up here. The chords in this key are A, B minor, C sharp minor, D, E, and F sharp minor. Just to note that sometimes as you get farther up the neck, it makes sense to drop down to play the 6th chord. The 6th chord is okay here, but if I kept moving up the neck a little more, it might be a little tight. So you have the option of playing the 6th chord, in this case F sharp minor, down 3 frets from the 1 chord. So here's A, and I could have played the F sharp minor down here. So that's always an option for you if you find that things are getting tight as you move up the fretboard. Okay, let's now do some of those sample progressions. The first one we had was 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. That's A, D, A, E, A. Now let's go on to 1, 3, 4, 5, 1, or A, C sharp minor, D, E, A. Continuing on with the progressions in A, let's do ice cream changes. 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. A, F sharp minor, B minor, E, A. And finally, we have 1, 5, 6, 4, or A, E, F sharp minor, D. For the exercises, we're going to try to maximize the usage of this template. To do this, we'll be starting at the first fret in the key of F. Now, the key of F gives us one open chord. That will be the 3 chord, which is open A minor. So remember, the 4 chord is B flat, so that 3 chord is down a half step. That would make it open. The progression we'll be using for the exercises is 1, 6, 4, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5. So we'll be doing that in every key. Don't worry, it will be on screen for you. We'll be moving up chromatically through the keys. We'll start at the first fret F, and we'll go up to the 8th fret where the 1 chord is C. At that point, we really start running out of room, so we'll stop after C. I'm going to do the first couple of keys just so you can get the hang of it, and then we'll get a look at the playing example. So here's the key of F. 1, 6, 4, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Now we're going to go up a half step to F sharp or G flat. 1, 6, 4, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Now let's get a look at the full exercise. That's it for E and A form bar chords within the key. I'm Kimberly Allison from Starliner Music, and I hope to see you back on my channel soon.